Just relax. Take a break and recognize that we're about to join, hopefully in love. If you can let go, heaven is at hand. We can have the happiness right now. New life is awaiting while we are rearranging those little facts of ours. But we're tired of holding on. And our hearts are making an authentic appeal. It's a sweet invitation. Don't hold in any longer. Don't abandon your vision. It's time to release. Let's do it. I feel like letting go. Let go. Let God. Let go. I feel like letting go. Let go. Let God. Let go. You don't have to do it all by yourself. It's about surrendering to something greater than your own personal ego. We got to feel like letting go. Let go. Let God. Let go. With God, all things are possible. All things are bountiful. And deep within, God loves you so. Let go. Let go. I'm letting go. Yes. I feel like letting go. Let go. Let God. Let go. Let God. Feel like what? Let go, let God. I feel like letting go. Let go, let God. Let go, let God. Let go, let go. What will happen? The darkness will fade. Pray to let go. Pray, let go. Pray to let go. I 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 pray to let go. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Earl.
It's good to see you. Good to see you. Yes. I've been to the mountaintop. It was the mountaintop. Had one of the most fantastic experiences of love I've ever allowed myself to receive. So I love the test that God gives me. Absolutely. So remember with the Course of Miracles that you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it. Some of it's going to be hard to believe and some of it's going to be quite stark. Nobody's asking us to judge the ideas at all. It says it's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to us and will show us that they're true. It's our willingness to use it that will show us that it's true. So what we want to do is focus in on the heart. So I'd like for you to try to get out of your head today, out of the analytical part of your mind that's all ready to tackle concepts and ideas. And take a moment to feel your brothers and sisters that are sitting around you right now. And know that we are here to open to love, to open to each other. We're each other's saviors. And today, the section I'm going to cover in the Course of Miracles is in the Teacher's Manual, page 53. And it's called, What is the Role of Words in Healing? What role do words play in healing? Don't you think that's an interesting question to answer? You know, what role does words have to do with anything? And as usual with the Course in Miracles, it always has its own personal, awesome way of dealing with it that I just love. I love it. Oh yeah. Want to give a shout out to Marta and Ava, my incredible translators and friends and everybody in my Visa family. And tell you I love you and appreciate you and thank you for an incredible experience of how much love can Earl take? My doggone it. Well, strictly speaking, words don't play any part in healing at all. Wow, that's a typical Course in Miracles response, isn't it? The motivating factor is prayer or asking. So prayer is another word for asking. So what you ask for, you receive. So the thing that's hard to believe is that what you received is what you're asking for. So isn't it? What I ask for, I receive means what I've received is what I'm asking for. So my mind goes, hell no. I know I just received something I didn't ask for. But the truth is true in every situation, and there are no exceptions to the truth. That's what we can count on. In the world, there's exceptions to everything, but there are no exceptions to the truth. So either this isn't true. It's on page 53 in the Teacher's Manual. Obviously, either this isn't true, or I'm asking for things that I don't know I'm asking for. I cannot believe I'm asking for things that I don't know I'm asking for. So when it says what you ask for, you receive, it says, but this refers to the prayer of the heart. I'm asking for what I'm receiving, what I'm asking for in my heart. It says, and it doesn't refer to the words you're using when you're praying. So it's not about the words you use. When it says what you ask for, you receive, it's not talking about the words that you're using. It's talking about what are you asking for in your heart. Now, sometimes the words that you ask for in the prayer are contradictory. Sometimes the words that you use and what you're asking for in your heart agree. So sometimes I'm asking for stuff in words that's opposite to what I believe I deserve in my heart. And sometimes I'm asking for things in words that's exactly what I really want to have in my heart. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your words and what you're asking for in your heart agree or disagree, because here's another Course in Miracles trippy statement. God does not understand words. The Creator doesn't understand words. Kind of explains what's been happening with my prayers. All of a sudden, I kind of got an idea of what's been up. You know, God has a learning disability. God doesn't understand words because words are made by separated minds to keep us in the illusion of being separate. That was what was interesting about, one of the things that was interesting about being in the Bees of Spain speaking, was for me it was an out of the box experience of me really being challenged to see if I could stretch on so many levels. But it was the first time I ever talked through a translator. It's the first time I had been somewhere where English wasn't the primary language that I was listening to. There were people from all over the world, and they were ready to love, and they were ready to connect at a level that I had not experienced, and we had 10 days to do it. And I saw what it says here about words were made by separated minds to keep them in illusion of separation, because one of my biggest frustrations was meeting so many people that were so loving that I couldn't talk to. So we had to do it through our heart and through our energy. So I saw how words were what appeared to make us separate from each other, so we had to join in our hearts. So sometimes we just said, well, forget the words and just grab each other. You know, I kind of like that better. This really was made for me. God created this for me. You know. Yeah, I love it when the translators say, I want to translate that person over there said they totally in love with you, right there. They can't say it in English, but they want you to know. It's like, wow, wow, wow. You know, we had one experience where we were in this cave right at the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea, and all of us were in a standing meditation where we in inner circle and outer circle, and we were asked to say our name, and then everybody in the group, over 100-something people, would say your name as loud as they could in this cave where it was reverberating all over the place. But it was to give our name away and release our separate names so we would know that it was just one of us here. That was the purpose of it. And it was so powerful to hear your name being said in all these different languages and accents, and then as a symbolic gesture, realizing we're not our names and we're not our words. And so what I was experiencing constantly was the experience of watching what I was asking for in my heart. I was being given what I was asking for in my heart, which is love. Because I think sometimes we get caught up too much in figuring out the concepts of the things that we're hearing and overlooking the fact that we're here to join and to love each other. Because we get so in our heads. So it says God doesn't understand words, which would be the same as saying love doesn't understand words. Because if you really love somebody, it really doesn't matter the words that they're using. It's not going to affect the way you feel about them. And so words were made by separated minds to keep them in the false idea of being separate. Words can be helpful. Now this is deep. This is words can be helpful, particularly for the beginner. So if you're just in the beginning of trying to learn how to develop trust and change your mind, it says words can be very helpful for the beginner in two ways. Words help concentration, and they also facilitate the exclusion or at least the control of extraneous thoughts. In other words, if I'm saying something, at least it helps keep me focused. If I say I'm sustained by the love of God, those words help me concentrate my attention in one particular area, and then it excludes the other thoughts. I'm sustained by the love of God is excluding all the thoughts that I'm not sustained by the love of God. So words facilitate concentration. They help you concentrate. They help you focus. That's why you say the workbook lesson. That's why you affirm, because you want to keep your mind focused in a certain direction, and words help you do that. Like Ebola focuses your mind in the direction of fear. ISIS, walk out the door, somebody gonna chop your head off. That's all about fear. And the world is all about fear. The ego is all about fear, because fear is what makes us think we're separate from each other, and fear is what makes us think we're separate from God. So our ego, which is the part of our mind that believes it's separate, maintains the separation by keeping us in some form of fear and unhappiness. You follow me? So if the world is an outpicturing of that idea of fear. And so if you notice, it's about concentrated fear. It's like constantly being told all the different things you need to be afraid about all the time, which makes us feel separate. So you can either use words to help you be separate, or we can use words to help us join. And let's not forget that words are just symbols of symbols. Like my body is a symbol of the idea that I wanted to be separate because I needed to be separate in something. So my body is what makes me think I'm separate from you, and what makes you think you're separate from me, right? So, but the body, this is called a body, which is a word, which is a symbol of another symbol. So words are symbols of symbols. See? Okay, so they're twice removed from reality. And so let's go back over that first paragraph. Words don't play any role in healing. What really matters is what you're asking for What you're really asking for is what you're asking for in your heart. And that really doesn't matter, because spirit doesn't understand words anyway. Spirit just understands what you're really asking for in your heart. And we're using words to keep us feeling like we're separate. But words really are helpful because they help us concentrate on that which we want. Any questions about the first paragraph? All right. So as symbols, words have quite specific references. Earl, specific reference. Microphone, specific reference. Carpet, specific reference. And when words seem most abstract, God, for instance, the picture that comes to mind is apt to be very concrete. So if I hear the word God as a kid, I learned to look at a particular picture that represented God. Then even an abstract idea is God. I have some idea in my mind about what I think that represents. So the Course says unless we get some kind of specific reference that comes to our mind in conjunction to a word, then the word doesn't have any practical meaning to us. For instance, for those of you who are not aware, let's say, of astrology, which is something I studied for a long time. If I say that right now in December, my Saturn is going to square my Jupiter, you just keep looking exactly like that. So, right. Why? Because there's no specific reference that came to your mind in conjunction with the word. And since nothing came to your mind in conjunction to the word, it didn't mean anything, which lets you know right there that everything is neutral and you're the one that's giving it the meaning, because you couldn't judge what I said because you didn't know what it meant. So you actually get past judgment faster if I say, I don't know what you are for. I really don't know who you are. I really don't know what your purpose is. Then I'm being more open to who you are. But if I go, oh, that's Christy, I know Christy. And then I got my ideas about her and what she's about. Well, then that's judgment. It's me coming up with my own specific reference about what I think something or somebody is, and then reacting to those references as if they're absolutely true, because as an adult, I'm trying to convince myself that I know what's going on, and I don't have the slightest figure or idea. So I've got to, as an adult, make up meanings for everything to convince myself I know. That's what adults do. And so they get so used to their own meanings that they become closed-minded because their whole world is built around the meanings that they've come up with as adults. That's why it says be as a little child. Because at that point, a little child, my little son come up to me when he's little and he go, what's this, Daddy? And I could say, well, this right here is a toaster. And he'd walk away and go, this is a toaster. Because he didn't have any idea what it was. And adults don't do that. 90% of the time, when somebody asks me a question in the class, they already have an idea what they think the answer is. But they're looking for me to verify validate what they just said. Or wouldn't be so quick to go, yes, but. See, yes, but means I already got an idea of what I asked you. That's why I always say comments are questions. Because I'm interested in hearing what you got to say. But we have a tendency to phrase things like they're questions, but they're really just statements we want to make. And so the Course in Miracles calls that a dishonest question. It's any time you ask anybody any kind of question and you got an idea in your mind about what you think the answer is. Did you ever get irritated when someone tell you they know what you're thinking? I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what you was thinking about. You know, it's like, and they're usually just as wrong as they could possibly be. Think about how many times you've done that and never knew you were wrong. How can I tell when I have a wrong perception? How I feel. That's the easiest way. If I'm a miserable person, my perception is wrong most of the day. If I'm a more happy, joyful person, then I'm beginning to see things correctly. So this is really deep. It says, so if a word doesn't have any practical meaning, then it can't heal. It can't help your healing process if it doesn't mean anything to you. So Saturn square Jupiter means something to me. So therefore I can act on that. But it doesn't matter because the Holy Spirit, the Course says, the loving right mind, the divine mind behind everything sees the purpose of everything as communication. So everything can be used for your higher or greater self to communicate to you through. There's some people that can come to enlightenment through knitting. There's some people that come to realize the truth because their job. Whatever you're using, if you had a desire to wake up to the truth, the universe will use whatever your interests are to make you aware of the truth. Because it's all just a great big communication medium. So the prayer of the heart isn't really asking for concrete things. So the prayer of the heart is never asking for a house or a car or a soulmate or a better job. The prayer of the heart is always requesting some kind of experience. So in your heart, you're always asking for an experience. When you say, I want to have a relationship, and then you visualize what the person should look like, and how much money you think they should make, or how smart you think they should be. And they always should be brilliant, excellent lovers, very successful in their career, and most of all have a credit score of at least a 700. Now, that's, like the ideal person, right? But then you have to ask yourself, would a person like that want you?
Yes.
I just asked. I just asked you to ask yourself. I didn't have an answer. Because a lot of times I hear people asking for people who have qualities that are completely opposite to their own. That the person that they're asking for they might not be the first person that they would be looking for as the person who's asking for it. If I say I want a person that's very loving and affectionate and very verbal in their appreciation for me, but I'm the kind of person I can hardly even speak to a person or say hello or I appreciate you, then that's very unequal. And actually, if a person like that showed up for a person like that, the person who's afraid would be afraid of the person who's more loving. When you meet someone more loving than you, the temptation is to think they're being insincere. When someone is giving you more than you think you deserve, the projection is, I don't know if I can believe what you're saying. That's just too good. Because I don't feel that way about myself. So I don't really trust you. But if someone says something about me that seems less than what I believe about myself, then it operates from the other end. Well, they just don't really know me. They're not really seeing my beauty. So as part of your spiritual lesson, you may start to draw people to you who see your beauty and your power and your grace, and they're acknowledging it. So don't be so quick to say that person is not being sincere. You might want to ask yourself, what is it within me that keeps me from recognizing the truth of that statement? Why do I want to believe that they're lying to me is what I need to take a look at. And love waits on welcome, not on time. So if love comes to you and you don't welcome it, love leaves. It doesn't hang out. It doesn't try to make you love it. Love's not going to try to make you love. Love is looking for welcome. I'm looking for who's welcoming me. I'm looking for who's welcoming me, not who I got to convince to love me. The part of me that's looking for the person I've got to convince is the part of me that's trying to convince myself. So if I'm going to try to convince myself, it would be easier to do it with somebody who's welcoming me, right? And I have to be a little proactive about that. What does that mean? Well, I need to give what I want to receive. I'm going to tell you I love you, I appreciate you first. So the prayer of the heart, he says, always request some kind of experience. The specific thing you ask for is going to being the bringer of the desired experience in the opinion of the asker. What does that mean? It means that if I say I want a partner, a specific person, as an example, then I'm really looking for an experience that I think I'm going to have with that person. And the specific thing I ask for, that person, that relationship, I think that that's going to be the bringer of the desired experience that I'm asking for, in my opinion. So if I say I want a relationship, I'm really saying I want some kind of an experience, and I think the person that I'm asking for is going to bring me that experience. So when I say I want something, and I'm specific about it at a physical level, I'm asking for an experience that I think that's going to give me. If I say I want a house, then I want the experience of the security and shelter that I think the house is going to give me. If I say I want a degree, I'm asking for the security that I think I'm going to get from the job I think that I'll get from. You see what I'm saying? So what we're always asking for, and anything we ask for, is an experience. And there aren't but two you can have. Who can guess? That's right. You're either going to have an experience that's going to bring you more love and more openness and more joy, and you're going to ask for that person, and they're going to bring you more pain, more fear, and more unhappiness, because they're neutral. They're just going to give you what it is you're asking for in your heart. So if I ask for a relationship and in my heart I'm afraid of it and I don't think that it's something that I deserve, then that person's going to give me a horrible relationship experience. If I believe I deserve love and someone is being abusive or attacking me, then I am not going to want them.
because they're not giving me the experience that I'm asking for. So it really depends on me, not on them. So your fearful mind would say, get them to treat you better. Your loving mind says, I'm looking for where I'm welcome, where I'm being received. I'm not going to spend 2 minutes trying to change you. Not 2 seconds trying to change you. I'm not going to make you love me, because you're just going to give me the experience I'm asking for. And obviously I don't love myself enough right now, so I'm not asking for the experience of love. So the things that you ask for stand for the experiences that you're hoping for. The thing that you're asking for stands for an experience that you're hoping that you're going to have. If I say, it's like if I had that trip to Ibiza, well, it stood for an experience that I hope to have, which was an experience of joining in love and in oneness. But I also saw it was very much dependent on what I was asking for in my heart. All right. Any questions about that paragraph? The Course in Miracles packs more things in one paragraph, but it's at the same time, though, it's very simple and it's very concise and it's very clear. Here's a quick review. Words have to have a specific reference for it to mean anything to you. If the word doesn't mean anything to you because something doesn't come to your mind, the word has no meaning at all. Whenever you ask for anything, you're asking for an experience. That's what so if you were to say all day long, I'm asking for different experiences, then you would be more accurate about what you're asking for all day. And there are only 2 experiences you can have, an experience of freedom or an experience of feeling more limited. Even an experience of feeling more innocent or an experience of feeling more guilty. And all the things you ask for specifically, you were hoping that they would give you one of those experiences. See how the Course is? Isn't it amazing how you can read that book and go, what the hell did I just read? But then you'll sit in a class like this and I'll read straight out of the book and you'll get it. Why is that, do you suppose? Because we're doing, for one thing.
Because this is an experience.
And we're giving ourselves, like when I say I want to do a class, it's because there's an experience I want to have, and the experience I want to have is an experience of joining with you. And I think the class is one way that can happen. But how much I enjoy this class is actually going to be based on how much I'm giving you what I'd like to receive. Because if I'm sitting up here and I don't feel love, it's because there's no love coming through me out to you. Instead of there's no love from you coming out to me. Because you could be sending me all the love in the world, but if I'm not sending you any, I'll say I don't feel your love. Mm-hmm. And so if you're one of these people that's saying you don't feel nothing in this room right now, you're not giving nothing in this room right now. Sorry, but you're innocent. You're totally innocent. But yeah. Oh, there's a part of me that doesn't like that. There's a part of me that wants to believe I'm always getting stuff and I'm not getting what I deserve. What about you? So any comments or any questions about that paragraph?
It's good news, because I feel great.
Yeah, it was such a trip, and one of the things that was so cool when I was in Ibiza was that it was the whole thing was about the heart. It was all about irresonance. It's about the heart. It's what I had been working on was the heart. And so I would do something in there and then break out with some music and then at once everybody would it's always a trip to watch people immediately respond to music in such a way that it was like and it felt so good because it wasn't I'm analyzing whether or not this is something I should do right now. And so it's like it challenged me to really see if I could go beyond what I was used to expressing as my joy. And I'd like to report I did it. Yeah, and sometimes I was feeling, because if you could imagine me teaching through a translator where I stopped every 2 or 3 sentences to have someone say what I said, that was a supreme challenge for me. You have no idea. That was a trip. But the Holy Spirit blessed me with translators that were me in Spanish-speaking bodies. And so it got to the point that they weren't just translating my words, they were expressing exactly as me. So if I said, I am determined to see things differently, they go, and I was like, all right. And, so again, because I had a desire to join, and I wanted to have a certain experience, then Spirit allowed me to have the experience that I was asking for in my heart, which was an experience of joining. But I had to admit to myself first the anxiety that I felt about it. Because sometimes we think being spiritual means not expressing your anxiety or fear and just trying to go straight to positive. And that's not the way the Course teaches in the workbook. In the workbook, he constantly says, think about what you feel anxious about, afraid about, what you're concerned about, what you're frightened about, what you're angry about, and then say, I want another way to look at it. We try to jump over that one because we think we're being negative. If we was to say, today I felt like killing somebody. That doesn't sound like what a spiritual person would say. I felt like killing somebody, and God, can you give me another way to look at that murderous thought? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not going to pretend I didn't have that feeling. Yeah. You follow me? So being authentic is not about being positive. Being spiritual is about telling the truth about how you feel, and then ask for another way to look at it. Because you want a certain experience. And whatever you ask for is going to be the thing that you think is going to give you the experience. There are some people, if I think about them, I feel better immediately because they represent an experience of love. And when I think of them, I go, why? Because that specific reference is the way that I've given myself certain experiences. So remember, a prayer of the heart is asking for what? An experience, not a thing. The thing you're asking for is going to give you an experience that you're hoping for. So the prayer, and this is deep, it says the prayer for the things of this world are going to bring experiences of this world. So when you ask for anything of this world, you're actually saying, give me an experience of this world. Give me an experience of this world. Check that out. When you ask for anything of this world, you're saying, give me an experience of this world. And if your prayer of your heart asks for an experience of this world, then an experience of this world will be given because this is what will be received. It's impossible that a prayer of your heart remain unanswered in the perception of the one who asks. So whatever you ask for in your heart, you're going to see it. So if you want to get in touch with what you really believe, then look at what you see. Because it is the answer of the prayer of your heart. So if you ask for the impossible, what would be asking for the impossible? Asking that you're not the one that's creating your reality. If you ask for the impossible, which is for you to be condemned forever. If you ask for the impossible, to believe that you're sinful and guilty. If you ask for the impossible, to ask that you be punished forever. If you ask for the impossible, then it says if you want what doesn't exist, if you seek for something that's not true in your heart, then it's all going to become your own. You're going to see it, you're going to experience it, and you're going to think it's real. He says because the power of your decision is always going to offer to you everything that you request, and that's where heaven or hell lies. Hell lies in what you're asking for and what you're deciding for, and heaven, which is happiness, is resting in what you decided for and what you are choosing. Because he says the sleeping child of God has just this one power left. While we are asleep to our true identity as unlimited beings, while you are asleep to your true identity as being eternal love, while you've lost sight of your beauty and your grace and your power, then the one power we have left is the power to decide. The power of decision is the one power that we have left, is the power of decision, the power of choice. That's the power we have left. We got all kinds of unlimited powers, but we've forgotten that we're more than just physical bodies, and we've forgotten that we are connected to a greater power, and that greater power is within us, according to this. So we're down to one thing while we're asleep, the power to choose, the power to decide. And we choose it moment to moment for what? An experience of love or an experience of fear, an experience of innocence or an experience of guilt. So, this is the only power you need. It's enough. That one power, it says, is enough. Your words don't matter. Only the word of God has any meaning because it symbolizes that which has no human symbols at all. So what in the heck does that mean? It's only the truth that we're studying that has meaning. And it's beyond any of the symbols that we come up with. And so the Holy Spirit, which is the part of us that does know the truth, that's what the Course calls the Holy Spirit, the part of us that's still connected to Source, He says that part understands what this word of truth is for, and that's enough. So how do I see that? That's telling me that there's a part of each and every one of us that knows the truth, and that's enough. It's just about us getting rid of the blocks to being aware of the part of us that knows the truth. If you were to be in touch with who you really are, that would be enough. If you were to know yourself, that would be enough. If you would get in touch with who you really are as a child of God, that would be enough. The truth would be enough. That was the next paragraph. So, if you ask for things in this world, you're going to get an experience of this world. If you ask for anything, you know what I'm saying? It's like we get upset over and over again about the same old stuff, and each time we act like it's the first time it's ever happened. And if you get old as me, you really see it. It's always the next person. It's going to be the next thing. It's going to be the next situation. It's going to be the one that's going to make me happy. You know, I put the carrot in front of my own face, and then I work really hard for the thing I've made up that I need. Where I wouldn't be working that hard if I had never made that thing up. And how's that? How do I look?
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I go back to here?
The cord. Normally I have an extension cord. It's not in my bag.
Okay.
Okay, so I just decided that I'm just going to have nothing that I thought I needed. Yeah, okay, that's all right.
I'll get it. Okay. Just keep talking.
Okay, thank you. All right. Da-da-da-da. Okay. I'm making a point to get this because when my ego does stuff like this, I know it's particularly something that I need to hear. And so therefore, I go the extra mile. But what I don't do is go, you notice I went, oh, okay. Now, I remember a time I would have went, damn! Don't y'all remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you know when you're beginning to change? Your reactions become different to the very same things that you used to get upset about. They're still there. You're reacting differently. That's how you know. It's not. Your advance at a spiritual level isn't based on nothing never going the way you think that you don't want it to go. It's your reaction to it being a reaction that doesn't take your peace away is what you're looking for. The ego tells us, well, you got your act together if all your fantasies come true exactly the way you want them to come true all day long. But the truth is your fantasies are coming true exactly the way you want them to all day long. You just don't realize what you're asking for. Everything is happening exactly the way you want it. All the time. It is for your own best interest. Every relationship that didn't work out was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Every job you ever got laid off on was the best thing that could ever happen to you. Every time you ever got fired, it was the best thing that ever happened to you. Every time you had a flat tire, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Everything that's ever happened to you has been for your own best interest. So if you really believe that, you wouldn't have anything about your past that you needed to heal. Because you're only trying to heal it because you think there was something wrong with it. But how could something be wrong with it if it benefited you?
But what if it hurt you?
That still doesn't mean that you didn't receive some benefit. You know, I can remember going to the dentist and it not feeling good, but it was very helpful on the long run. So everything that happens good for you doesn't necessarily feel comfortable. Because you've hurt doesn't necessarily mean that wasn't good for you. Now, the pain isn't necessary, but that calls for a surrender to God and the truth and something beyond yourself that most of us don't do yet. So the pain is actually coming from our own misperception of what's going on instead of what's actually going on. So the pain isn't, like I had a question in the visa when a person said, well, they had a premonition about not getting on a motorcycle, that there later was a big motorcycle accident and their partner made the transition as a result of that. And they went through a lot of stuff. And they would say, well, how can you tell if the fear is fear that's coming from your guidance, so it's just fear that you're having from your ego? And the thing that came to me to share was the guidance was not, the premonition itself was not fearful. It was her reaction to the premonition that was fearful. It was just making her aware of something that she maybe needed to be aware of. There was no fear in that, but the reaction to it was what was fearful. And that's what we have to always remember. Everything is neutral. The fear is coming from me. It's not coming from anything else. So you could get a premonition and you feel peace about the premonition and just go, I'm not going to get on the motorcycle. You see what I mean? Fear is not necessary to receive guidance. Like people will say stuff like, well, if you weren't afraid to cross the street, you get hit by a car. No, actually, you could be totally peaceful and know not to step out in front of a car. The fear is never necessary. Awareness is necessary. So they go with the idea that you need to have fear in order to learn. We just need to have peace so we can see things clearer. Does that make sense to everybody? And there's a way to have peace. Peace is not mysterious. It's not something that's really hard to have if I'm willing to follow the instructions for how to have it. Now, our instructions for how to have it is to get everybody to act out the script that we made up for them so that we don't get upset. So I'm jealous. You don't do the thing that makes me jealous, which means you don't dance with some other guy, and now I don't feel jealous, right? I haven't dealt with my jealousy. I haven't healed one bit. So just because you're with somebody who goes along with your fears does not mean that you are growing. And because you put yourself in situations that don't get you to take a look at what's going on within you that needs to be healed doesn't mean you're growing. So arranging your world so that nobody triggers you is not growth. And that's what most people are trying to do. They try to find somebody who doesn't upset them, instead of asking themselves, what am I making myself upset about? That's the truth. That's the truth. So that's okay. If you don't have any questions, we can go to the next paragraph. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Okay, because let's see. All right. Okay. We have 10 minutes. Okay. Check this out. It says, now, are you then to avoid the use of words in your teaching? No. There are many people that must be reached through words. You know why? Because there are a lot of people who can't hear in silence. They don't even know how to go silent and listen. So you must, however, learn to use words in a new way. You're the teacher of God. You're a teacher of love. He says, so you must learn how to use words in a new way. So how do you do that? Well, he says, what you do is you gradually learn how to let your words be chosen for you. How do you let your words be chosen for you? By ceasing to decide by yourself what you will say. In other words, you're going to say, I'm going to step back and let love lead the way. I'm going to step back and let God lead the way. Now, how can I make that practical? Well, the way you make it practical is you go, let's say your path is A Course in Miracles. It could be any path, but let's just say your path is A Course in Miracles. Where you would go, what would the Course in Miracles tell me about what to think about this situation? That's you ceasing to decide what you would say. And you're letting yourself be taught what to say by something greater than your own ego. So you don't even have to figure out what that is. But if you studied it, you would know what to say. You would go, oh, that's love, or call for love. Or that's really a call for the truth. Or you see what I'm saying? If you are studying, then you would start to say something different than the things that you would normally tell yourself in that situation. And so you accept the words that are being offered to you, and then you just give them. As you receive them, he says, then you don't control the direction of your speaking. You listen, you hear, and then you speak. So if someone's saying something to me, especially if I'm beginning to feel a little upset, then I go, let me listen. What would I say? What should I say in this situation? Then I hear what I'm being told, and then I speak it. But a major hindrance in this is you will become afraid of the validity of what you're hearing. You'll wonder if what I'm hearing is really God's guidance. And he says, and what you may be told is quite startling. You may be ready to cuss somebody out in the voice and say, tell them that they're totally whole and totally innocent. You go, what? That's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to call him a son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, your inner voice might tell you to say, what is it you feel afraid about? How can I support you? Haven't you done that before? Haven't you been absolutely clear you were going to say one thing to a person, and then you found yourself in a situation saying something entirely different from what you thought you were going to say, and then you walk away and go, what? You know, was that me that just said that? He says, as a matter of fact, the answer that you give to the person may even seem like it's totally irrelevant to the problem that's being presented. And sometimes it'll seem to you that if you say what you're being guided to say, it will be embarrassing to you. So when you get to the point that you realize that your judgments about what you're being told to say have no value, and you begin to trust to say what you're being told to say, that's when you'll begin to see the transformation. And whenever you doubt the validity of what you feel like you must say in your heart, that doubt is coming from a shabby self-perception, your own ego that you're trying to leave behind. So if I'm afraid to say what I really feel in my heart coming from love, it's just my own ego and my own fear that's keeping me from doing it. It's me not thinking that I'm valuable enough and that I'm valid and it's okay for me to really share what's happening as the truth for me in my heart. And so the Course says, use these words that are coming to you from the truth, because these words are far wiser than your own. And if you are sharing the truth as you know it with somebody, and in your heart you really want the experience of love, then the Course says, then you're going to have God's words behind your words. In other words, the words you use don't really matter, because the energy and the love and the power of the Spirit behind your words is going to be what reaches the person. That's why you can say nice things to people and they still cuss you out, because you're saying words, but you don't have the power of love behind them. You don't have the power of the truth behind them. You're just saying what you think you should say, which is a good start. It's better than nothing. Okay? And so the Course says, and God will give the words that you say the power of the Holy Spirit, and then that will raise the words that you say from meaningless symbols to the call of love and the call of heaven. So when you tune into the truth within you, the love within you, the power within you, the innocence within you, whatever you're sharing with somebody will raise you, and it will raise them to a level of ecstasy and love that's far beyond anything you can ever imagine. So would you acknowledge yourself for hearing that section? Holy Spirit. Would you acknowledge these other cool people in the room? I'm telling you. Lord have mercy. Yeah, ego, you didn't stop it. I did it anyway. You know. All right. Oh, Lord. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. I really want to thank you so much for sharing with me. You all are awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Oh, I'm so thankful to you. So thankful for you for being in my life. And I want to be more loving. I want to let more love through me for you. I really do. The path gets easier the further you go along on it. The hardest part is the beginning. The hardest part is getting started. The hardest part is not letting your old habits stop you from doing something different. So those of you who are watching on the internet, I want to thank you for your financial expressions of appreciation, and you can go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and share if you'd like. And also I'm available for private one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions, where I take all these teachings and apply it to the situations you're going through. And if you're open to it, I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology, which simply means that's another way to be communicated from God, from truth, to you. So whatever it is you think you're going through, the answer is already provided. It's just you have to ask for it and be willing to be open to it. We make it so much harder on ourselves than it actually is. But that's cool, because we can't lose. Do you know that? So before I stop, any comments or questions about anything that you heard before I do a quick ending review thing of what we just have done? Were there any ahas? For instance, one thing I heard today that I really want to remember is,
I'm only asking for an emotion or an experience.
no matter what you're asking for physically, what you're really asking for is an experience. Yeah. Thank you. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even in our darkest place, we always have one thing we can do, and that is choose to see it differently.
That's right. Even in our most darkest place, we can say, I want another way to look at this. And it's already provided.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so cool about it. Yes.
So if I think a stressful situation is for my highest and greatest good, how does that change it? Does it change it?
Well, what it does is anytime you allow yourself to give yourself more peace, then you're in a position to hear what your own inner guide is telling you in this situation, because we're always being instructed by our own divine guidance. We just don't know how to listen to it, and we haven't even been taught it's really there to listen to, because we're listening to the voices we made up. And stress is actually any perceived threat to your ego's existence. So whenever your ego feels threatened, you call it stress. But that really means I'm coming to the awareness that my ego really can't handle everything that's coming up. That what I've learned isn't enough in this situation. I need to have another way to look at it. That's why I'm feeling stressed, because I feel inadequate to handle the situation that's happening, and I need to recognize I need to turn to something greater than myself for another way to look at it. And then I can hear the guidance that I'm getting about that situation. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
So when I'm talking, God's hearing blah, 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 blah.
Say what?
When I'm
Girl Scout.
Say it again. Say it again.
So when I'm speaking, God is hearing blah, 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 blah.
Right, that you just saw.
Blah.
the God in me went, what? What you talking about? Yeah, well see, the Course in Miracles says it doesn't matter the words you're using.
Right.
That's all that God knows is that you should not be in distress and that you should know love. And so therefore I'm going to heal it. See, the reason why we need to know specific details before we help somebody, because we think there are situations that you shouldn't help somebody. But if I'm going to help you in every situation, no matter what, then it really doesn't matter what you're upset about, because it's not going to change my response to you. So if I'm going to have a consistent response to you, it doesn't really matter what you're upset about. I'm going to love you no matter what. Now, you can give me your story, your details, but it's not going to change the way I'm going to respond to you. But we don't operate that way. It depends on your detail and what you're telling me, whether or not I'm going to answer your call for love or cuss you out or not be in your friend anymore. So we're the ones that's constantly judging whose calls for help to answer. And the Course is saying love has no such discernment. All of us deserve love. All of us deserve healing, no matter what we think we've done. And that's like inconceivable to us because we haven't experienced that kind of unconditional love. But that doesn't mean it's not there just because we haven't experienced it. Remember that. Just because you haven't had the experience of something doesn't mean that it's not real. Yes, my brother.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was looking right at you.
I like to have that share with someone and you were talking about it, and a lot of times I get embarrassed. What the heck did I just say? But it's not my crazy old words anyways. It's who I am. It's the love that I'm really trying to share. There you go. That's what it's giving me some clarification, because I do that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just say?
And I think that's what's so powerful. He says that God's teachers have God's word behind their words. So that's the same as saying a teacher of love has the word of love, has love behind their words. And it's the love behind your words. It's the truth behind your words that give your words the power that they have. We more concentrate, like I said, we concentrate on the form. Let me make sure I'm saying the right words. And the truth is saying, no, why don't you make sure there's some love behind your words? There's some compassion behind your words. There's some truth behind your words. And that will take it to another level. So take a breath. Let's take this training. And Tuesday night, The Way of Mastery at 7 o'clock. Incredible class. So words don't play any part in healing. The motivating factor is asking. Asking. What you ask for, you will receive, but that refers to the prayer of the heart and not the words that you're using, because we're in the land of I am. To remember that the words that we have used to create separation. The words are helpful because they help us concentrate. But words are symbols of symbols. So words are twice removed from reality. But unless you have a specific picture that comes to your mind when you hear a word, then the word doesn't mean very much to you. And when you ask for a prayer of the heart, you're not asking for concrete things. What you ask for in your heart is a desire for an experience. The specific things that you're asking for, you think they're going to bring you the desired experience. Words are symbols for the things that you're asking for, but the things that you're asking for stand for the experiences that you are hoping for. So words words are a symbol for the things asked for, but the things asked for themselves but stand for the experiences that you're hoping for. And if you pray for things of this world, you're going to have experiences of this world. So no matter what you ask for, it will seem to come to you, but if it's something that's not based on love, it will have one characteristic, which is that it will be temporary. Because spirit only supports things that are eternally loving. So when you ask for something of this world, when you ask for something that is not true love, when you ask for something that is not eternal, when you ask for something that is not real, you can always tell, because it will always be temporary. Our Creator loves us so much that every time we ask for less than what we deserve, it does not last. So whatever you ask for in your heart, even if it's something that's an illusion, it will become your own, because you have the power of decision. Your power of decision is your last power left to you as a sleeping child of God. You can choose once again. You can choose once again. You can choose once again. Choose once again. Choose again. Choose again. All day long. Choose again. Choose again. Choose again. Choose again, choose again, choose again, choose again. So don't avoid using words. Words have to be used with many people, because some people cannot go within yet and listen in silence. But you got to use your words in a new way. It's time to use your words in a new way. You let your words be chosen for you. You let your words be chosen for you, and you step back and let God lead the way. You want to step back and let the truth in you lead the way. Step back and let love lead the way. And you accept the words that your authentic self, you accept the words that your heart tells you, you accept the words that the truth tells you, and then you offer them. So that works like this. This is the way it works. This is the way it works. It says, listen, hear, speak. Listen, hear, speak. Listen, hear, speak. Listen, hear, speak. I say listen, hear, speak. Listen, hear, listen. And you listen, hear, and speak. And don't be concerned that some of the things you hear might be startling. Some of the things you hear might be embarrassing. But that's just your ego. If it's coming from the truth and it's coming from your heart, then you should listen, hear, and speak. I say listen, hear, and speak. I say listen, hear, and speak. I say listen, hear, and the power of decision is your power. 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 Choose once again. Choose once again. Choose once again. Choose once again. Mighty companions, you juicy, sweet, luscious, mighty companions. May the chorus be with you. Could we acknowledge us? Again, clubs are available. So glad to be back with you. It's a lot of love in this room. I love you. I appreciate you. I love you. And I appreciate you. Say what?